You know, because when you hear about the music industry, you hear about all the Illuminati, satanic rituals, all these different things, right? And the industry, and there's a door. You know what I mean? Like you've heard people like Nori talk about the door, and so like for you, like what is that like?
To
Witnessing,
me,
experiencing what you experience.
yeah. So to me, it's more about something spiritual that even the blind can't see. They can't see it. So when I look at a Don Dinero and I look at artists that people assume are in the Illuminati, I look at it like there's something spiritual that is so powerful that is like putting everything in place for them. And it's not really people; it's just something spiritual. But then when you look at the videos, when you look at the CD covers and stuff like that, you can kind of make a connection of like, man, that looks like it's from the Illuminati, right? Because, for example, my last album before I turned Christian, I was a pharaoh. I was a pharaoh, a golden pharaoh in the cover. When you open the CD, it had the eye and the pyramid behind it. That was my album. And at the time, I was seeing on YouTube how they were talking about the Illuminati, and it didn't hit me until after I became a Christian that stuff was on my music. It was on my CD cover. And I'm like, how didn't I catch that? Even though I knew people were talking about it, it didn't hit me. It was like I was that blind that I didn't see that was there. So when I hear people talking about the Illuminati and stuff like that, apart from the real Illuminati, whatever, right? I think in the music, I direct it more to like the Bible, where it says like, the problem is really the love of money and what comes with it, and like, just being in a world that's so dark that once you're a part of it, you're just blind. So I don't blame the rappers for pointing fingers and say you're part of something. I feel like they're all victims. They all came into something, where they were young, they didn't know the business, they being taken advantage of, because back then you would hear stories of like you had to do certain things to be with certain people and things like that, and you will hear about all types of crazy stuff, more in the Hollywood side. I was a rapper and I was being talked to about like, hey, maybe we should transition you into the movies because you have this gangster you know persona in the music. You will fit well in the movies. But even in conversations with people like that, I will hear like, oh yeah, but you got to be careful with this person because they're gonna try to take advantage of you and stuff like that. So when I hear all that stuff, to me, it's more spiritual than anything. And I think a lot of people don't, you know. I think the responsibility of the rappers, or the responsibility to me, the thing that they should focus on the most, or the fans when they point at the rappers, focus more on what comes out of your mouth. I think the biggest problem of a rapper is that the Bible says that there's power in the tongue. There's power of life and death. And like we said earlier, you could kind of say things that come real in your life because you say it over and over again. So people should focus more on that there's just power in words, and words become worlds.
So you don't believe that there's a elite group that is like in the industry that pushes agendas or
Oh,
you know what I
no,
mean?
no, yeah. I do know in anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's group. You need community in everything. You need certain people to lead certain things. Business, whatever. You even need that in the church. You need people to be over everybody. That exists. That's normal. That's in the human. We can't advance without governments. You know what I'm saying? Like governments with all the corruption they have or whatever, you take out government and people will just kill and rape each other all day and rob each other. So I do know in hip hop there's a lot of elite people that get together and kind of dictate like who's gonna do why and what type of music needs to be sold and promoted. For perfect example, I'll tell you this: I was in Miami one time in Universal, and they're having a meeting, and this was around the MySpace time. They're having a meeting about the girl Tila Tequila, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just listening to the meeting. And in the meeting, they're saying how, Tom from MySpace, like his like first friend was Tila Tequila. She was like an artist that he had that he was promoting. But they were talking about like this is who we're gonna use to open up these doors, and like she's gonna change everything, right? And I remember them speaking specifically about her reality show being the first reality show that where it was gonna be a dating show, but she was gonna not only be interested in the men, but she was gonna be interested in the girls. And they're talking in this meeting like this is our plan. Like this is our
Wow.
plan. And maybe like 2 years after, I'm listening to the young kids, and everybody's confused. Girls are coming home telling their parents, "Hey, I think I like girls," right? And I look back at it and I'm like, man, it wasn't that popular before Tila Tequila came around. And I remember in this meeting, they were literally saying, like, this is the plan. Like, she's going to change everything. So I feel when I look back, I'm like, man, like, who was talking in that? Like, the people, I don't remember who they were by name, but I'm like, were these people even like record label people? Did these people have with this government? Like, I don't know. But it sounded like it was a conversation that was bigger than music that they were having.
So yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask. Like, so it didn't seem like a regular business conversation meeting. Like, oh, like we have this artist that we want to. It was more of like this is a grand scheme plan kind of thing.
Yeah, they weren't talking about signing her. They were talking about like this is the direction that the music has to go for now on, because this girl's gonna change everything. Like that's what I was hearing in that meeting. Like just letting you know that you're gonna have to talk about girls with girls in the songs now. Like your female rappers are gonna have to go in that direction because this girl is gonna change that. So in the meeting, it was like they were telling her like this is the deal, this is what's gonna happen. Like prepare for it. Like start making your music about this. Like that's what I heard in that meeting.
Wow.